Alright, so this point, we are doing a Code and Dark tutorial using the add-on Say Intentions and First Officer Next. Well, First Officer V5, we'll say that. Um, Let me close. That way I can't do that hearing myself, like hearing myself in the video and hearing myself live, you know. Um, let's get you guys, even though we're doing tutorial, we're going to open up the chat. If you got questions as I go through and do this, please feel free to ask any questions you might have. Okay? Um, Hopefully this will help people out that are learning to fly. And you don't got to be visually impaired. I can't stress that enough. Alright. TikTok chat is open. YouTube chat, Lounging with John, it is open. BVI Pilots is open. Everything is here. Okay? Alright, so I've also got a Pilot's World, but I'm not going to include that into the stuff going on here. Okay? Because that has nothing to do with the Cold and Dark. But I am flying with that. But I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way real quick. So, I believe it was, yeah, 39,000. Okay, so we're good there. Alright, so I've got a Pilot's Live. It's done, set, ready to go, listening to me, whatever. Alright, so this is preference. So you don't got to do this way, but what I like to do is I have my simulator on desktop 1, and then I use Control Windows right arrow to go to my desktop 2, and on my desktop 2, that is where I have my Say Intentions loaded, a Pilot's Life loaded, First Officer V5 loaded, and of course, whenever I open up my CDU and stuff, it will be on desktop 2 as well. That way, when I'm going between the simulator and the CDU, I can just control Windows right arrow and left arrow to go back and forth. I don't got to do all that alt tab and all that. It kind of just helps cut down on going alt tab up, you know, over and over and over. So, um, some of the directions, if you're not visually impaired and you're still using this to kind of follow, um, no, you won't need me, or you won't need to know about some of this stuff the way that I say it. You'll be able to just click it, okay? But I'm going off of using the CDU with TFM. Now, when I say left soft 3 or left soft 5, if you're sighted, then you're going to know because on the FMC CDU, you got left soft 1 through 6, right soft 1 through 6. So you would just tap it. At least I'm assuming that's how I'm understanding it. So, alright. When you start out your airplane, if it's the very first time, I'm going to assume that you have included the code that needs to be on the pmdg airplane settings file. If not, then let's go to it real quick. I'm going to do Windows Z. I'm going to go to the local C, and then users, and then whatever your main admin account is, you go there. From there, you go to app data, local, packages, and then you're going to keep hitting M until you hear Microsoft Flight Simulator, and then it's got like some other stuff that it says at the end of it, but it's all together. I can't really understand it. But it's the only Microsoft Flight Simulator that you should see there. So you go there, and then you go to local state, and then you're going to go to packages, and now here's all the airplanes. So you're going to hit P. So let's say that it's the 737. Hey there, how's it going? Let's say that it's the 600, for example. So it'll be the pmdg 736. When you go there, you'll then go to work, and from there at the bottom, go to the very bottom with your N key and then arrow up. It's the 737 options.ini file. So if you open that, this is what makes your screen reader read. It's what gives it the ability to read. So at the bottom, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 different lines. And the first line is going to be left bracket, SDK right bracket. Those brackets have to be there, and put it in capital letters. The next line, enable data broadcast equals 1. Line after that, you got enable CDU broadcast dot 0 equals 1. And then the bottom one, enable CDU broadcast dot 1 equals 1. I would say ask somebody for the file, or you can get it off of bvipilots.com or bvipilots.net, either one. There's files they've got, and they've got this up there. Or you can even send me an email, 737flights@gmail.com, and say, hey John, I need that file with the code on it. Can I get it? And I'll just send you the code. The reason I say just put the code in, because someone else might have other settings different that you're not going to like or whatever. So it's easier that way. And then above where I told you about the SDK, there's another line that says startup panel state equals code dark GPU. That's for ground power, and it's all in capital letters too. I would say don't try to write it. Just try to get the file from someone. I've got the file myself. If you can't find it at bvipilots.net, like I said, just send me an email and I'll get it to you. So yeah, so you gotta have this. Without that code, you're not reading the CDU. You're not flying, unless you don't use a screen reader. If you don't use a screen reader, you don't need this part. This part of the tutorial don't even need to. You won't even be concerned in. And people that's watching this live right now are probably like, man, I don't need all this. And I get it, but I thought, well, I want to do the tutorial while I'm doing my flight live. Knock two birds out with one stone, right? Is that the saying? Maybe I'm saying it wrong, I don't know. But anyway, that's how you do that. So I'm going to close that. Close that. Alright. Now we're back to the sim where it was, okay? The other thing too, when you first start out the first time, that's what creates that file I showed you. So you're going to need to load up Microsoft, load up the sim, let it run, even for 1 minute, it don't matter. And then that's when you'll find that file. Now you can actually, I've done it, but well, I'm going to tell you this: just close the sim, go back to the file, put that code in there, and start the sim back up. And now we're going to go as if you got the sim, you got your plane stuff straightened out with TFM with the code. You're at code and dark, sitting at the gate. That's where we are. So what is the first thing that we're going to do? Using say intentions, okay, because that's what I've got is say intentions and first officer V5 up. Okay, so we're going to go with say intentions first. And on say intentions, I'm going to go I'm going to tab down to new flight button. That way I know for sure that we're set up for a new flight. Now I've done exported my flight plan, but to be safe, after you build your flight plan, I did not include that in the tutorial. I'm not going to. You just go to SimBrief and create an account, and then you can build your flight plans and all that. If you need help with that, maybe I'll do a tutorial later, but I think you can figure that out. Once you do your flight plan, though, you need to make sure you open up the SimBrief downloader, and when you open it, you go to the top. It's going to show you what flight you're doing. And it shows the last flight plan that you created, not the flight you're doing, but it gives you your last flight plan. So then you'll go down to where it says export, hit enter. Okay, it's going to pop up every how many files that it goes to. You should have that set up depending on how many pmdg planes you got. Now I've got the 736, the 737, I've got the 800, I got the 900 and the 900 ER, plus all the business jets with that, and I've got the 777, the freighter. Okay, so with all them, when I export my flight plan, it goes to 12 file locations. So yours might only be 4. If you only got one plane, it should only be 2. Let me think about that. Yeah, 2. One for the weather, one for the flight plan. So, anyways, that's done. So I did new flight on say intention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift tab from that. To where you'll see it got all, you'll see that it's got like all the different frequencies. You can hit enter on them to go to them if you need to. That's the way I do it. So if you arrow up, you'll see where it says SkyOps. Down arrow once, hit enter on SkyOps. That's going to change it to the correct frequency, and then what I'm going to do is tell it that I want to request cargo going to Louisville. So I'm going to key up Gold Star International requesting cargo to go to Louisville, Kentucky. And now I'm going to wait on them to
mission on request. This will take a minute or two.
Alright, there we go. Yeah, I hope you're having a good night, man. It's late. I fell asleep for a while and woke back up. I'm like, I'm going to do a flight. Do this tutorial. Alright, so
Gold Star International 9er Delta Whiskey. Alright, we got a new cargo mission for you.
There we go.
Your mission is to transport essential event setup materials for a dinosaur feature exhibit to Louisville, Kentucky.
Alright, so that's
the cargo
done.
includes various display structures, lighting equipment, and promotional materials required for the exhibit. Ensure the cargo is handled with care and delivered on time for the exhibit setup.
What I'm going to do
We're
now
sending your crew over
is
now. You can expect to be airborne in a few minutes.
I'm going to load First Officer V5. We're going to open that up. Sometimes it likes to kill my screen reader. Alright, there it is. Okay, real quick before I open it, I'm going to tell my co-pilot to get our IFR to Louisville. Go ahead and get our IFR to Louisville, will you? Now that I did that, I'm going to hit connect
I'll
on
get our IFR clearance to Louisville.
first officer window here. We're going to connect.
Hey, Captain, we have been here for hours trying to load this cargo. We are
And
just
now,
about done,
first
I'll let you
officer's
know.
going to come in
Starting pre-flight flow.
and start a pre-flight flow.
Northwest Arkansas, Nattle Ground, Gold Star Niner Delta Whiskey. We'd like to collect our IFR clearance.
Good morning,
we have
Captain.
uniform.
First thing I do while he's doing everything, I go to my first officer window. I down arrow, or not down, but tab.
Gold Star Niner Delta Whiskey, Northwest Arkansas, Nattle Ground cleared to Louisville. Radar vectors Harrison. Then as
To where
filed,
it
climb
says
and
plan
maintain
page
5000.
button.
Expect flight level 39010 minutes after departure. Departure on 126.6, squawk
Captain, we are
3756.
secure and
Expect
good to
runway
go.
34 right.
So I hit my plan page button, and then I'm going to tab down. ZFW, V1, that's your speeds. VR 130, V2 135. And then keep tabbing. You'll see the altitude. Tab down, and it's probably going to say 1. And then tab once past where it says 1. And then down arrow. I always set my flaps to 10 for takeoff. And then I down arrow until I get to where it says, it'll say off. That's for brakes. I set it to max by down arrow on the max. And now I'm just going to keep tabbing until I get to the home button. Alright, so that's done. Now, I just gotta wait on him to tell me to do the SID and stars. And then we'll open that. Remember, you want all this stuff on desktop too. That way it's not in the way of your simulator. And you can easily just go back and forth. Those that might be watching live, I'm just putting together a tutorial for those that fly with screen readers and use first officer. Basically giving them a code and dark tutorial. So as you see, the airplane is, the battery's on, the fans are on. So we're just waiting on first officer to say, hey, you can program SID and stars, and then we'll start programming as soon as he says something. So we're just waiting on that. Guys, remember, with you watching it and the video being, you know, on YouTube, you can pause it. So if you get stuck at something or you miss something, pause it, go back. That's the whole point of the video. You don't got to rush through this. That way you can learn it. You know how many times I've watched videos to be able to, you know, do some of these things that now seem so simple to me. I've watched a lot of videos. And I've done a lot of flying. I mean, I've been flying for over 5 years. So and you can also monitor what he's doing on the first officer page, right past radio frequencies. That's the edit box where you can't edit nothing in there. It's just a message box that tells you what he's doing. Like it says load FMC wait. So obviously it's saying, hey, wait. Patience, right? So yeah. Louisville, Kentucky is literally only maybe 35 minutes from where I live. I mean, I'm in Indiana, that's Louisville, but I'm not far from Louisville.
Would you mind checking the SIDS and stars?
Alright, there it is. So I'm going to do
Heading out for the walk
left
around.
bracket, Control C. That opens that up for the departure and arrival. So I'm going to do left soft 1 for departure airport. And then okay, here we go. So KXNA 34 right, and we're going direct row. So 34 right. So I'm looking for 34 right, which is going to be right soft 4. And for using F1 through F12, it's going to be F10 for right soft 4. And then it says DCT direct row HRO. So let's see if there's nope. So just hit execute if there's nothing there. Okay, that's what I did. Now I'm going to do Alt A. That takes us back to the main page for departure and arrival. So we're going to do right soft 2, which is F8. And now we're on our arrival page. So we're going to be landing 17 left in Louisville. MBL pin. So 17 left, MBL pin. 17 left is going to be right soft 1. So right soft 1, which is going to be F7. MBL is going to be left soft 4, which is F4. And then, what was the other? Pin. Okay, pin. So I'm looking for pin. Pin is going to be left soft 5, which is F5. And now I'm going to do Alt E to execute. That is done. Now your sit and star is done. So now I'm going to do Alt G. That takes you to the leg page. Always look for vectors on the leg page. While he's doing the walk around, that's a good time to do that. So let's take a look. 1's good. 2 and 3. 4's good. 5's good. And then they go, you'll get more than one leg page. To go to different pages will be page up and page down. Page down goes to the next page. Page up goes to the previous page. Was no vectors or route discontinuities on the first page. Now I'm on the second page. Okay. Everything's good on the second page. I'll hit page down. Now I'm on the third page out of 4 pages. Now we have a vector. How do you get rid of a vector? Okay. Vector is on line 3. 4 says 3000A. I'm doing 2 things here. I'm changing 3000A to just 3000. So I'm going to tab to the scratch pad and it'll say edit. I'm going to type in 3000. And then I'm going to shift tab back up to the edit red only area. And then I'm going to hit right soft 4, which is F10, and that's going to set it to just 3000. You got to execute it with Alt E. There we go, 3000. Now to get rid of the vector, which is on line 3, no matter where it's at, you always take the waypoint that's after the vector, and you'll select whatever waypoint it is. So in this case it's going to be line 4. So I'm going to do left soft 4, left soft 3. So the first time I do less off 4 is copying line 4. And then I hit less off 3, it put line 4 over 3. So I'm going to execute, and now line 3 is 3000. It's the same line that I just edited that was once on line 4. Does that make sense? Alright. Everything else looks good. So now we're going to wait for him to get back from his walk around. Sometimes I think he just stops out there and twiddles his thumbs, you know? Like, what all you got to do out there? It takes 5 minutes. Like, no, in real life, pilot has to make sure his plane's good, right? Got to make sure everything is tip top. Which actually maintenance is responsible for a lot of stuff too. Of course, you know, if you fly out a shortcut in Charlotte, you know, that might not be the situation. Charlotte, North Carolina, by the way, that's what I'm talking about. They always call it shortcut Charlotte because they say the maintenance people always take shortcuts. Oh, there's nothing wrong with them cool packs. We'll skip that. Yeah. I know all about that because I was landing in Louisville before as a passenger in real life, coming from Greenville, North Carolina, over to Charlotte, transferred from Charlotte to go to Louisville, and one of the cool packs overheated. Luckily, we was just getting to the airport in Louisville, but we landed fast. I mean, there was smoke in the plane. And I'd say shortcut Charlotte forgot to check the cool packs. They said, you know what, they're okay. They was okay last time, they're okay this time. No, check them every time. Don't be a fool. All right, so we're waiting, patiently waiting on the first officer to get back in. Those of you that might be watching on the live stream, I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you for showing your support. I hope that you're having a good night. It is late at night, but, you know, we still get our views and all that good stuff too. So I want to thank you guys for being as awesome as you are, showing your support. For subscribing to our channels on YouTube, following us on TikTok, all that good stuff. I appreciate it, guys. You guys are, you're amazing. Now we're just waiting on this first officer, taking his time, checking his list once, and he's checking it twice. And if he forgets to look at something, then that ain't so nice. Come on, guy. Move it. You can actually look in that box on the first officer, in that spot where I said it tells you what he's doing. 18 seconds for walk around to be complete, so he can come back in, and then we're going to be doing some more stuff here. Now this code dark, as you notice, we already told our co-pilot to get our IFR, and she did.
Walk around completed.
You also want to give your co-pilot the comm. So you're going to key up with your hotkey, and you're going to say, giving comms to you.
I've got the comms now, John.
And then you're going to say, request pushback for startup, please. We're just following the rules, that's all.
I'll request pushback with startup for us.
Alright.
C, TAF, Gold Star 9 Delta Whiskey. Request pushback with startup, please.
Nobody's listening on 122.8.
On the wrong channel, girl. You need to tune the ground and then request pushback with startup.
I'll get us pushback with startup from ground.
Yeah, that'd be good. We were still on the,
C, TAF, Gold Star 9er Delta Whiskey. Request pushback with startup, please.
we was on the channel for, requesting our job. Okay, so I always wait until they go and start doing the checklist, and then once they start doing the checklist, I go back to our leg page, and what I do is, okay, so they're just doing the pre-flight, and when they start the pre-flight checklist, I'm gonna hit Alt I, and that has put us on do Alt I, and that puts you on the per minute page. On line 2, that's where you gotta put in that number that's on line 2. So you can just right arrow. You'll see a bunch, like, see 1, 2, 3. You'll see 3 dashes, then a dot, dash, slash, and then you'll see the number. It says 11.6, 11.6. So you tab down to the edit, the scratch pad. It's just going to say edit blank, and you type in 11.6. Then
Flow completed.
you hit
Pre-flight checklist.
left soft 2.
Oxygen. Tested. Navigation
And
transfer
that puts in
display
that
switches.
same number.
Normal
You'll
and
see it
auto.
in there twice.
Window E.
Execute.
On.
Or left soft 3
Pressurization mode
twice, I'm
selector.
sorry.
Auto.
Then execute.
Flight instruments.
And that's it on that first
Sit.
page. You hit
Parking
right
brake.
soft 6
On.
or
Fuel control
F12.
switches. Cut off.
That'll go to
Pre-flight checklist
the
complete.
next page, the N1 limit page. Do left soft 2, right soft 2. And then you right soft 6 again, F12. And now we're on the takeoff rep page. It says 10 degrees, 113. So you're going to do left soft 3 twice. And then right soft 1, right soft 2, and right soft 3. Which would be F6, F7, and F7, F8, and F9. And when you refresh with Alt R, you'll see the speeds on the top line in there twice. It says 10 degrees, 113, 113. That way you know it put in the speed from the speed tape. Okay? So, what we do from here is right bracket Control T. We're going to set the trim. I always put the trim at 3 or as close as I can get it. So I'll hold down the letter D, or on my yoke I can push a button as well, but I'm going to hold the letter in this tutorial. So you hold down the letter D a little bit, let off to here where you're at, hold it down more, and keep doing that until you get to where you, there we go, we're at 3.01. You're not going to get no closer than that. You can try, but no need to waste your time. It's not going to hurt with it being off by 1. No big deal. Some people might not even set their trim that low. I always set it to 3. It's a good number. Alright, so with that, you don't have to execute. It's already set. It's going to stay set that way. And you do not need... You're going to see if you tab around one that says stab trim off. Do not turn that on. That'll make it much more sensitive. So, you got it set. Just Alt F4 out of the trim window. It puts you back on the takeoff rep page. That's already done too, right? So now you're just to do Alt R, refresh it just to make sure. 10 degrees, 113, 113, which line 1 is V1, line 2 is VR, which is 114, and then V2 is line 3, which is 120, and I guarantee you the stick shaker is going to go off just because of these speeds. It won't go off for long, but it will go off because of the speed not being as fast as what it wants. But for some reason, first officer's not setting the speeds right where I want them. I got to figure out how to fix that, but it's not a big deal. So that's on me, not you. Alright, so I'm going to do Alt G, and then if I look at the page, it says MSG CLR. That means he's waiting on me, so I'm going to go back to the legs page. I'm going to do Alt M, right soft 5, left soft 3. Now we're going to hit left soft 1 to close the door, left soft 6 to go back to the previous menu, and then left soft 4 to go into the pushback menu. And what we did, we just went back to the main menu, went
Initiating before start flow.
went to the doors, closed the door, the one door that's open, and then went to the pushback menu. And we're going to wait on him to now do the before start flow, before start checklist. After he does the before start checklist, we will then do the pushback. And then you'll be at, well, we'll just wait. Let's just wait. So now he's doing the getting the before start flow done, getting everything set, and then he's going to do the before start checklist, and that's when you do the pushback. You can, I'm not going to use pushback in say intentions right now because it's been a little buggy for me, so we're going to wait on that part. I'm going to, while he's doing that, grab me a drink. Alright, get some drink here. Hi, puppy. What are you doing, boy? Alright. Back in here. Now, what he did there was, that was just him switching from ground power to APU power. Alright.
Flow completed. Before start checklist. Plate deck door.
Start checklist.
Closed and locked. Fuel 1154.7 pounds. Checked. Passenger signs.
Oh, sorry about that, guys.
MCP. Speed 135. Heading 248. Altitude 39000. Set. Takeoff speeds B1 128. BR 130. B2 135. Checked. CDU preflight. Completed. Rudder and aileron trim. Free and zero. Anti-collision lights. On. Before start checklist completed.
Alright, now that's completed, everything's good. At the bottom of the pushback page, line 5, you got to make sure that there's, to know if the chocks have been set or removed, there be an X beside whatever's active. So on line 5, it says set, and then to the right of that you'll see a slash, and then X removed. So removed is the one that's active because there's an X by it. So that's telling me that I can go ahead and get the pushback started. I'm going to do right soft 5, which is going to be F11, and then left soft 5, which is F5.
Hello below.
And then Alt G,
Go ahead.
take me to my leg page.
Beacons on. Brakes released. Clear to push straight out.
Now I'm going to go back to my Microsoft window and
Copy
release
that.
the
Clear to
brakes.
push straight back and release the parking brake,
I have
please.
a numpad. Hopefully you do too, because with the numpad, you can hold down your left control key and the period, which is right beside the enter key on the very right side of your keyboard where your numpad is. So it's to the left of that. It's in between the 0 and the enter key. So I'm going to do left control and hit the period. Sometimes it's kind of tricky, but
Brakes released.
there we go. Brakes released. Now I'm going to go back to the first officer window, tab down to where it says engine start. Now that we're moving, right bracket U, you'll see if you're moving. If you're moving, hit your space bar on the start button. Engine start button.
Starting engines.
And there we go. Engines are getting started.
The cabin
up
is
now.
ready for departure.
Starting engine 2.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard our flight to Louisville. My name is Emma, and I'll be your flight attendant today. We're excited to have you with us. Our captain, John, and our first officer, JD, are in the cockpit, ensuring a smooth journey for you. We expect our flight time to be about 1 hour and 6 minutes. Before we take off, I'd like to go over some important safety information. First, please ensure your seatbelt is fastened low and tight across your lap. To unfasten, simply lift the buckle.
Alright,
In the
you hear
unlikely
that right
event of
side
a loss
engine,
of cabin pressure, oxygen
which
masks
is
will drop
engine
from the
2,
compartment above you.
and engine 1 is on your
Pull the
left.
mask
go
towards
and
you
set
to
the
start the
brakes.
flow of
Alright,
oxygen.
he said
Place
to
it
set
over your
the
nose
brakes,
and mouth,
so we're
and
do
secure it with the elastic band. Remember to put your own mask
get
on
back
before
on the
assisting
Microsoft
others.
window and hold
For our
down
Engine
left
two
safety
started.
control
vests, they are
and period.
located under
Okay,
your
the
seat.
brake's set.
In the
Brake
event of
is
an
set.
emergency landing on water,
Engine
remove the
two
vest
cut
from
out.
its container, place it over your
Alright,
head,
engine
Yeah,
2.
and pull the
of course, you guys
straps
got
around
it.
your
We're
waist.
disconnecting
Started.
Inflate the vest by
Now we're
pulling the
waiting
red
on
tabs
engine
or
one.
by
Tow bar is
blowing into the
disconnected. We're
tubes.
disconnecting the
Our
airflow
Boeing
right now.
736 has
Pin's
2
gonna be on the
emergency
right-hand side,
exits
guys.
located
Take
at the
care.
front
Starting
and
engine
rear of
one.
the cabin.
And then you just heard
Please take
them
a
say
moment
they
to
were
locate your nearest exit, which
released
may be
again
behind
and
you.
everything's good.
In the
So,
event of an
that means to push
evacuation,
it back
leave all
is
personal
completed.
belongings
Now you're
behind
just
and
waiting
follow
on-
the crew's instructions. Thank you for your attention. We're now ready for
You're waiting on
departure,
engine 1
and
to
I'll
get
be around to
started,
assist
and
you
you'll be
during the
waiting
flight.
on the
Enjoy your trip.
checklist after he does the after takeoff flow. That's where he'll set the generators, the packs, all that stuff. And there comes engine 1, you can hear it running. If you ever want to hear outside the airplane, you can hit the end key, not the letter
Engine 1
N,
started.
but the end key. If you hit it once, that's outside.
Engine 1 cut out.
I don't know what that noise is out there. Listen.
All engines stable.
It's on the left side. It sounds like something rattling. I don't know what that is. I hope that's not. Hope that's not something broke on our airplane.
Before taxi flow.
Now he's in before taxi flow. I keep listening because I'm wondering what that is. Oh, I think there's another airplane out there. I think that's what that is. So he's going to do this, and then he's going to do a checklist.
Clear on the right. Clear on the left. Flow completed.
Alright, so he's got that done.
Before taxi checklist.
Here we go.
Generators.
Checklist.
On. Probe heat. Auto. Isolation valve. Auto. Engine start switches.
Continuous.
Recall.
Checked.
Auto brakes.
Rejected takeoff.
Flight control test.
Now I've got a yoke. I've got the Honeycomb Alpha, so I've actually got to move my yoke to test it. So yoke left,
Full left.
back to center.
Neutral.
Yoke right,
Full right.
back to center.
Neutral.
Yoke straight back,
Full back.
back to center, and then yoke forward,
Full forward.
back
Check.
to center.
Brake test.
Checked.
Before taxi checklist completed.
Okay, now, being that if you're flying and you're visually impaired and use a screen reader and all that, we're unable to taxi, right? Obviously. So what do? We reposition, but you still need to at least follow the list and do everything in order. So that means I'm going to be telling my co-pilot, request taxi, please.
I'll get that pushback request in for us, John.
Alright, we're waiting on her to get that in. Now, while you're waiting on that, you
C,
can go over to your
TAP,
first
Gold Star
officer
9 Delta
window
Whiskey. Request pushback with startup, please.
and pause first officer, because when it puts your plane by the runway, sometimes it drops it hard and it makes first officer think you're landing. And he'll start changing settings on you. So, shift tab until you see where it says pause. It's right after, when you're shift tabbing, it's right when you go past the mic button. Shift tab one more time, it says pause. Hit your space bar. All it's going to say is pressed. So just know that you paused it. Alright, I'm going to go back to the flight simulator window. I'm going to do right bracket R as in Romeo. It doesn't pull up the window right in front of you when you do it. You got to alt tab until you come across it. Jump the runway. There it is. Alright, so we are at the airport KXNA. So I'm putting in the code. Now I see 4 different runways. 17, 34, 35, and 16. Sorry, that was the first one. I skipped it. So we're going to 17. Even though on the flight plan, oh, I was wrong. We're not going 17. 34 right. I'm sorry. So down the road. Now this list only shows 34. It don't say 34 right, but it is. It's the same runway. All right. So what you do is, now that you're on that, you're going to hit enter, and then you're going to go back to first officer after you hit enter and unpause it. So we'll hit enter.
Approaching runway
Back to
3,
first officer.
4.
And unpause it. Sometimes he will go ahead and do the before takeoff flow, but from what I've been told, if the plane is not perfectly lined up when it drops you, he will not do the flow. But you're just going to tab down to before takeoff flow when he does that. So keep tabbing. Before takeoff flow button, hit the space bar.
Before takeoff flow.
There we go. Now, while he's doing that, you need to do right bracket shift T as in Tango. That's to disable reading
Flow
trim.
completed.
Otherwise,
Before takeoff checklist.
you're going to get a lot
Flaps.
of spam on takeoff.
Stabilization trim.
Set.
Transponder.
Set.
Cabin crew. Cabin crew prepare for takeoff.
Okay, so the
Notify.
only thing,
Before takeoff checklist completed.
we're going to take off here. You're not going to hear me give a lot of instructions on takeoff, because I gotta pay attention to what's going on. But I mean, you're flying. You'll when we take off. Let me tell you what's going to happen. When we take off, first officer is going to activate VNAV, LNAV, and autopilot. But he doesn't do it right away. I got to keep my hands on the yoke, keep the nose up until I hear autopilot is being activated. In order for me to hear that, I need to do right bracket and left bracket. That turns on the attitude mode. That way I can hear what's going on. Alright, now I'm going to tell my co-pilot we're ready to get out of here. We are ready to take off.
I'll get our taxi clearance from ground.
What? She don't listen very good. Gotta wait on her. She's just done got it. Sometimes it does this. We're already at the runway. We are ready to take off.
I'll get our takeoff clearance from tower.
That'd be good. You just gotta have patience sometimes, right?
Northwest Arkansas Natal Tower, Gold Star 9er Delta Whiskey, holding short of runway 34 right, ready to depart.
Gold Star 9er Delta Whiskey, Northwest Arkansas Natal Tower, runway 34 right, winds calm. Fly runway heading
Right
cleared for
bracket
takeoff.
L. We'll check what your setting is.
Runway 34
Flaps
right,
10.
fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff. Gold
Okay.
Star 9er Delta Whiskey.
Real quick. Left bracket, left bracket H. It says 248. Let's double check that by doing right bracket Control R. Put in your airport code again. Heading is 339. So 339. So you skip Alt F4 up the runway thing. Do left bracket Shift H and put in the heading of the runway 339. And hit enter. Hit escape. You're back on Microsoft. Do left bracket H. It says 339. That if you don't do that, that's why I kept on trying to figure out why my plane was going off the runway so much. And, well, there you go. All right, and it still can sometimes. You know, it's not gonna be perfect, but people give you a hard time about it. Just tell them, just deal with it, right? All right, so we're gonna release the parking brake. There we go. And now we're going to do Control Shift G. Okay? That's the toga mode. Alright, here we go. Control Shift G. And now I'm going to hear
Thrust set.
Checked.
when he tells me I'll pull back on my yoke.
Speed alive.
Airspeed.
Checked.
80 knots.
Checked.
80 knots. Rotate.
Say V1, pull back.
B1. Rotate. Positive rate.
Positive rate.
Alright.
Gear up. Gear
Raise
down.
my gear.
Gear up.
Bring in my flaps.
400 feet.
Lateral navigation.
Flaps up.
Vertical navigation.
VNAV on. Heading select on.
Autopilot.
Alright, I think we
Command A
lost-
on.
Gold Star International 9er Delta Whiskey, contact departure on 126.6.
LNAV on. Acceleration altitude.
Switching to departure on 126.6.
Alright, so
Gold
my
Star 9er
LNAV
Delta
keeps
Whiskey.
kicking off. Let me look at my leg page real quick.
Razorback departure, Gold Star 9er Delta Whiskey. Morning, passing 2000 on the climb.
089 degrees.
Gold Star 9er Delta Whiskey, Razorback departure, radar contact, cleared direct Harrison, climb and maintain flight level 210.
Cleared direct
Alright.
HRO. Climb and maintain flight level 210. Gold Star 9er Delta Whiskey.
Heading select on.
Okay, I'm turning towards the heading of my waypoint because LNAV did not come on. My VNAV's on, but my LNAV is not. So let's see if we can catch it now.
LNAV on.
There we go. LNAV came on. Usually it comes on by itself. Sometimes it's you gotta, you know, turn the plane manually. But we did it. We got through it. So if you hit left bracket A, it'll say MPC altitude 39,000 feet VNAV. You'll note as long as it says
Flow
VNAV
completed.
and the correct altitude, you're good.
After takeoff checklist.
When you do left
Engine
bracket
start
H,
switches. Off.
it'll say
Packs.
MPC
On.
heading.
Auto brakes. Off.
And then say
Landing gear.
LNAV if LNAV is on.
Up and off.
Okay.
Flaps.
You want LNAV on
Up.
and you want
After takeoff
VNAV on.
checklist completed.
Okay. And sometimes you're going to hear TFM say right FMC light on, left FMC light on, and then it'll say left FMC light off. Just don't worry about that, it'll go away. Alright? So now we're climbing to our altitude that we need to be at. In some cases, you might want to change your altitude. Like, let's look at our distance. Right bracket
Passing
shift
10,000
B.
feet.
So it only says 55 minutes. We're not going to get to 39,000 that quick.
Dear guests, we have just
At
reached
least
our
I feel
cruising
like we're not.
altitude, and I'm
So,
pleased to inform you that
what
the
I'm
use
gonna
of
do, being
electronic
it's such a
devices is
short
now
trip,
allowed. Feel free
I'm
to
gonna
connect
do
to our onboard
left
Wi-Fi
bracket
service as
shift
well.
A,
Thank you for your attention, and enjoy the flight.
and I'm going to set our altitude to 25,000. Hit enter. Request flight level 250 for cruise altitude. And then I'm going to go to my leg page, tab down to
I am unable to request a change in cruise
CRZ
altitude without
button.
ATC's permission. We're currently cleared to climb and maintain
hit
flight
spacebar
level
on that,
210.
shift tab, back up, make sure you're on the cruise page, and we are. So tab back down to the scratch pad, type in your altitude you're wanting, and then hit left soft 1, and then you'll execute with Alt E. Okay, and then I looked at the top, it says FL 250, that's correct. I'm going to do Alt G.
Gold Star International 9er Delta Whiskey, climb and maintain flight level 310.
Okay, now I'm going to correct them.
Climb and maintain flight level 310. Gold Star 9er Delta Whiskey.
Let them know we're unable to go to that altitude and request flight level 250, please. If she doesn't do it this time, I override her authority and I just ask myself.
I'll request flight level 250 for us.
There we go, she did it this time. So that's going to give us a lower altitude. We can get there a lot quicker. It one is at 39, and there's just no way. We're not going to 39,000. I mean, Louisville's not that far away. So, with that said, that covers everything with the Code and Dart startup. When you get closer to your destination, first officer is going to do your descent.
Gold Star International 9er Delta Whiskey,
Hello.
Contact Memphis Center on
If you want
132.55.
anything on landing, you can let me know. I'm going to keep
Contacting
the live
Memphis
stream
Center
going,
on
but I'm going to end the
132.55.
recording.
Gold Star 9er Delta Whiskey.
Transition altitude. Checked.
Memphis Center. Gold Star 9er Delta
sure
Whiskey.
to leave
Morning.
comments.
Climbing past
If you got any
17,000 for
questions,
flight level
Please email
310.
me 737flights@gmail.com.
Gold Star 9er Delta Whiskey.
I hope you
Memphis
enjoyed this
Center. Good morning.
tutorial. And remember that I'm always updating tutorials. If I find things wrong with this one, I'll fix it and just make it better. But hopefully this helps you get up off the ground and be able to do your flight. Y'all have a good night just watching the video. And maybe you're watching us live too. I don't know. But there is your Code and Dart with the PMDG airplanes using say intentions and first officer. Y'all take
Gold
care.
Star